Hello everybody, my name is Randy, and today I'm going to introduce you to working with amber. Amber is basically tree sap that formed during, well, obviously if it was leaking out, something happened to the trees. Sitting on my new porch looking at the little duckies coming up here begging for some breadcrumbs, and basically wanted to share the project I'm doing with you, which is making a sculpture of a bust and a head out of amber. This is a rather decent sized piece. This is basically, according to science, at least 90 million years old, but if you're a truther, you're not buying into that. But it is very old. More than likely, this predates or is at least dated to the flood, which would be roughly 4,000 years ago. If you don't believe in the flood, this video is not for you. But anyway, this is by far not my largest piece. You can see how beautiful the colors are in it, and it is basically very brittle and dry, as you would imagine. This came out of the ground. It was excavated on a dig, and the client who attained it basically asked me to produce a sculpture out of it. So I've done a lot of experimenting with this stuff over the last several months, 6 months, because there's a lot that has to be done to make the amber work. First of all, it does melt at an extremely low temperature, which is a good thing. Too high and it just cooks. Too low, it doesn't do anything. But you can actually take this amber, and I want to give you an idea of its colors if possible. I put an LED light here, there we go, to shine through it, and it's absolutely beautiful beyond anything I've ever sculpted with. So as you can see, when the light passes through the amber, it is just radiant with all of your warm colors. And literally, the thinner the amber goes, the brighter it gets, all the way to white at the thinnest, going from white to rich yellow, and then moving into your orange and red hues and every color in between. And it's just absolutely exciting to be working with this. So I wanted to share it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, really, and I'm hoping that I can really impress my client with the sculpture that's going to come out of this. So anyway, wanted to share that with you. And if any of you happen across some amber and decide you want to do this, well, I'm going to help you maybe figure out some of the stuff that I had to figure out on my own. So we'll just set it up there on the light and let it just, and I mean, it's the middle of day, and look at this thing. So the plan for the sculpture is going to be to have this thing illuminated from below with a hidden light, just like this. Not this LED work light, but with something more subtle. And the first thing you have to do when working with this substance is you have to get all of the impurities out. Like I said, this came directly out of the ground and probably has been in that ground for 4,000 years at the least. And so it has a lot of dirt, has a lot of scaling on the outside, just a lot of residue and stuff from age and time, and I guess as it sits in the ground it just gets drier and drier and drier. So basically it is tree sap, though. This is once living tree sap from tree unknown, but that's a lot of sap. So my theory would be that this is from one of the ancient trees that are no longer in existence. And I'll show you why in just a minute. Basically, what you do with this, though, when you have a workable size, is hold on. You're going to filter it, and you can do this in your oven. Now I had to rig something up, but I bought this at the dollar store. This has a metal mesh screen, as you can see up close. And what you will do is basically take your amber and you will run it through this screen, and the screen will catch all of your impurities until you gain whatever it's dripping into, and it will drip into just like liquid, basically a thick like syrup, and then it doesn't stick to aluminum. So basically, because of that, you can it will reform, and it will be a bit more dense, a little stronger after it's been filtered, because the impurities are gone. The air trapped in all the, in between the molecules and everything pretty much collapses, and then you have a more solid piece to work with. But this in and of itself is very brittle, very hard to carve or use tools on. So we're going to purify it, clean it up, and make it stronger to go ahead and incorporate into our sculpture. So give me just a second. I'll show you a little bit of experimentation that I've done as I was playing with it. I'm going to hit pause, and then I'll be showing you something new. Alright, here we are in the kitchen. And oops, I messed up the floor. So basically right now, this is an old antique window, glass panes, and I had this idea to create a honeycomb, so it looks like the bees have made their nest completely over the window with the amber, so that when light comes through, it'll be really pretty. And like I said, the amber heats at a pretty low temperature, so what I've done is added glass beads to the glass with resin, and then on the other side, heating very slowly the amber to melt and self-level, as you can see here. I'm not doing it completely in the oven. This was basically just to get it a little sticky, because the heat gun really works the best. The problem is that the heat gun only works in small sections. So this basically, and the heat gun will blow the dust. You can see the dust there. It will blow that stuff all over, and we want that to settle. So basically I'm just giving it a quick heat up to tack it off. And now I'm going to turn the oven off, and when this cools enough to touch, I will show you the next phase of it. And this is just a thin layer of the purified amber, so you can see exactly what it does. And when the light comes through, it's just, there's no other substance that makes these colors so rich and vibrant. And so I want to share this with you. It's cooling off now. I'm going to show you a bigger piece to show you what the sculpture probably will contain most of. I'm going to hit pause. Be right back. Okay, back on the porch. As you can see, this was the little example of what you can strain it with. It's got an aluminum mesh, but this was what I invented for straining in my oven. And as you can see, there's a lot of debris and different things that end up in the bottom when you strain it. There's organic life down in this stuff, or what once was very small mollusks and shells, things that live in the water. You can probably see one right there. That little round thing is two parts of a seashell. So it's really interesting what comes out. Also, right over here, inside a big piece that I've already filtered, is what looks like either dinosaur poop or lava rock. Whatever it is, this was encapsulated in the amber, and the phone's not going to show you, but there's a lot of shells in this thing, which would indicate water, which is really cool. And over here is about a bowling ball size piece of amber. So you can see how big this is, and it's on the light, so you can see the beautiful colors and this is so thick that even the light's not coming through the deepest parts. Well, it's very cold out right now, for Florida at least, and you can even hear this just from the heat of the LED starting to pop and crack. So I'm not going to leave it on because I don't want to do anything with this yet, but sitting in my lap, you can see this giant piece of ancient tree sap. Now, I don't know about you, but just from a, ooh, dust all over me. Just from a, man, this thing's heavy. Just from a, I guess, a tree size perspective, I mean, this all oozed out of something very big, much bigger than these little dinky tree things that we have today. That's my theory. Please feel free to comment your theories on this, but there it is. I can barely hold this up with one arm. So basically, I'm going to bring this back inside. I wanted to share with you the filtration process, and now I'm going to hit pause and show you what the bricks look like that have been filtered. Be right back. All right, folks, we are back. This will be probably the tail end of the video for now. Basically, what you're seeing here are the bricks I've made by filtering large pieces of the amber, which actually pretty big pieces too, because basically, like I said, it condenses as it melts, and this has probably been filtered twice. It really takes 2 good times to make it right, but now you can see how amazing it looks with light. So from the side, cover that edge so you can see it better, but I mean, it's just gorgeous. So sorry if I got you dizzy there. This is one of the bricks, and this is number 2 of the bricks. And sometimes different parts of the amber have a little bit of a different glow, but you can't tell from the, from looking at it from this thing. But basically, this was like an aluminum dollar store little baking dish. You can see the little patterns on it, but it's good to know, because knowing that aluminum does not stick to this no matter what, you basically have the ability to shape this any way you want with an aluminum coating, which will be part of the plan for the sculpture. Now I'm going to show you how the sculpture is going to begin, which is probably going to make you laugh. Be right back. Alright, here we are. Meet Barbie. Yep. Basically, Barbie's going to get demolished. Oh no! Yes, Barbie, you will not only have a shaved head, but basically this is about the size that I wanted to create the sculpture as far as the head goes, but the neck is too small, obviously, and we're not using really the bust. But it's the perfect size to use as a base. Move the stupid hands out of the way, and you can see roughly the size. It's not huge. So basically what's going to happen is Barbie's head's going to get shaved, and I will sculpt with oil clay over all this to make a realistic face based on it's going to be a female, and it'll have some weird cool stuff sticking out of it. Nothing idealistic or anything like that. It's basically going to be a sculpture, and this is the good foundation for it. This will actually get completely destroyed in the process, because the only way to work with the amber is to create a mold of the final sculpture, and I'll show you what we're going to do that. Hitting pause. Alright, I'm walking out to my clunkety dunkety truck, which I'm totally redoing it with all kinds of crazy stuff, but it's my work truck. Say hi to Illuma Truck, home of the Illuminati. No, Illuminati with an A. Basically, don't ask about the truck yet. It's just an old work truck. But inside, I forgot to get this. So I figured I'd walk out with you so you could laugh at my truck. Plaster of Paris. What we're gonna do is, when the sculpture of oil clay is completed, we will then cast. I'll have to build a box out of wood or out of some material. I have concrete to use mainly for it, because obviously we're using heat to create the sculpture. What I'm going to do is create a box the size I need, and then the sculpture with Barbie goes in, and then I will be pouring the plaster of Paris into the mold until it's full, with one hole at the top to inject and melt the plaster into at a very slow pace, because again, if you heat it too much, it starts cooking away. It smells wonderful, by the way. It doesn't smell like just tree sap. It smells like tree sap, flowers, cherries, strawberries. It's very fruity, with also a tree sap kind of a smell too. So it's really something that I've never, grown up in the woods, never seen tree sap or smelled tree sap that smelled like this. That's why I think it's something from the past. But anyway, when I get to this part, I will do another video to show you the sculpting of the face and the pouring of the cast, and then the final melting in to create the final piece. And then I'll do the electronics, and then we'll go from there. Anyway, hope you're enjoying this. Stay tuned. I'm Randy Rhodes, artist, doing something weird.